Hello everyone and welcome along to the BMW M4 GT4 Trophy, of course, here to round out the grand final in the second part of this first season in 2024 of the RaceRoom Ranked Championship. It's Lewis McGlade, myself, hello. I'm alongside Darragh Thackett, who's finished his knitting. He is back, of course, here for the grand final. You can see the knitting on the back of his seat. Well done, congratulations. This is going to be a lot of fun, of course. Points are basically leveled. We're all set to equal to see who's going to come out on top in two races across the evening.
Yeah, it's all come down to this. We've had 3 rounds in Germany. We've come over to Brazil after the public vote decided that we'd come to Interlagos, and hopefully we're going to get a good finale. Some great racing obviously happens here at Interlagos. We've had some good racing as well so far this season, and hopefully this is going to be a final for the ages. Yeah,
hopefully. Obviously, if you joined us for the M2 CS Racing Cup, which obviously finished back in Suzuka, that was pretty exciting. And of course, Enzo Filippo came out on top in that one. We're here for the grand final at Interlagos. As per your vote, you are the ones that have come across and suggested that we should go racing here at the Autodrome in Jose Carlos Pache, if I remember correctly. So off the top of my head, that one. It should be a fun one, though. Certainly with these cars, they are going to race, well, they're going to race high and wide around here.
Yeah, they should do. I mean, it's going to be interesting with Interlagos. Of course, we have a few straights. You think of down towards turn 1, down towards turn 4. But generally, that middle sector is quite tight and narrow. So you can go side by side. A couple of drivers may be looking for ascending to Bico de Palo at turn 10. But it's going to be interesting just to see how the drivers play this, because it's a track where you can overtake, but you've got to be very careful about how you do so.
Let's remind you of how the evening is going to work. Then, of course, qualifying presently underway. We'll have 9 minutes left to go. So we'll rush our way through this so that we can jump into the qualifying. We'll head into the first races, which is 25 minutes. You get more points for winning in that one. And then the second race, which sees a top 5 reverse grid. And then we'll be settling our champion. Let's talk about the circuit then. You were talking about Bico de Pato. Of course, that is the 4th corner. So you work your way into the first turns at the center S, go through the left, right, and then long left-hander right down the backstretch on Bico de Pato into turn 4. You've got the likes of Piratella, of course. You've got Jun Sao out of the final corner of the circuit. All this stuff in the middle, which is all very awkward. In fact, that's where you get Bico de Pato. What am I thinking of down towards turn 4?
You're thinking of Descida de Largo.
Thank you, I am. It's all Portuguese. I can't speak it. It's fine.
Yeah. No one could see me, obviously. I was trying to furiously shake my head to try and save you there, but
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a nifty little track, obviously. It's well used, and for good reason, because it is such a good track. 15 turns do make up the circuit, but really, a few of them, thinking of the last 3 down the main straight, aren't really corners. They're flat-out kinks on the way down towards turn 1. But, yeah, this is a great place for a finale. You can absolutely see why it was voted for.
Yeah, look, I like myself a little cheeky bit of Interlagos. Although I will say I've got a love-hate relationship with the circuit. Some races have gone well around here, some races have not. It is a fun track, especially, again, in the cars that we go racing. In the M4 GT4 Trophy, as always here in the BMW M4s. A decent amount of brake horsepower, 550, certainly more than, I don't know what car you drive, but the car you drive. It's certainly more than that. 550 brake horsepower, 1,500 kilos, 1,600 kilos. It's a tricky little car, but it's certainly one that race well. Again, it is the step up from the MT.
Yeah, it has more power and probably better air conditioning than my car. But yeah, it's a good car for these guys to be driving in. Of course, as we go through the ranked championship, we are seeing these cars improve in speed and pace, not least because of the increase in power. And these M4 GT4 cars really do look the part, they race the part, and really they are well used, as is the track, for good reason. They race very well, as we've seen throughout the season. And Interlagos, hopefully with a good championship finale, we'll see plenty of racing action.
Now, before we obviously jump into the qualifying, we need to talk about the drivers that we have out in action. Of course, the 2 major ones to talk about are those first and second, Enzo Filippo and Philip Dries. Filippo won the previous round of the championship. Philip Dries has been moving close to being #1 on the entire platform. Of course, has won 2 of the rounds so far this season and comes into it at the points leader. You've got Christian Mikel up there. You've got D'Amico, Orban, Kunze, Noj, Mackenberg, all drivers that we kind of expect at this sort of level. But really, we're kind of looking towards the NeedRacing.com duo of Dries and Mikel, maybe sneaking a little bit of Kunze in there, along with Enzo Filippo, who might well be able to sneak one. Those further down that might be able to sneak a decent result, the likes of Mosin, maybe even Mihai Nair, Gaspar Misch, crowd favourite, of course. And that's also to mention that we do have those racing from the Americas and also from Asia taking part in this race as well. This is called the grand final, the global final, because we do drag in those not just really from the European splits, not just from the top splits. We also grab them far and wide as well. Let's remind you very quickly of the points as well as we came into this one, I believe, because it was the points being held, the points lead being held by Philip Dreiss coming into it. He had 137 points, 130 for Enzo Filippo. Those are the two to talk about. Julian Kunze was on 128. Now, the reason why I talk about that, because those points are zeroed, they're all starting from scratch. But those three really have been the form of the season so far. Dreiss, Filippo, and Kunze.
Yeah, they're the drivers we're going to have to be looking out for in terms of who's going to take the prize here this evening, but also they want to finish top of that standings as well. So if you can manage to not just win the evening tonight, but also find yourself at the top of the tree after the 4 rounds, you're also going to find yourself with an extra couple of prizes as well. So Mackenberg, Luca D'Amico, they've had solid seasons, but they've not quite been on the pace of the top 3. I mean, they're 3 names that we see all the time in RaceRoom ranked events. They're at the top wherever they are, whatever they're driving in, and so it's no surprise to see them fighting it out at the top of the tree.
Well, let's jump our way then into qualifying to see exactly what's going on. Of course, we've already had 25 minutes of the session. It is Enzo Filippo on the pole position at the moment. Christian Michael behind, Philip Dreiss and Julian Kunze all there for needracing.com, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. D'Amico there in 5th. And do remember that the top 5 that finish the first race in that order will be reversed for the second race. It's just the top 5, so it's very important to be in that grouping.
Incredibly so, and it's clear to see that they are on the pace early on. Lots and lots of drivers in the mix, though. I mean, there's not a great deal between some of these drivers, and we've got, I mean, a few of them with almost identical lap times. I think Mackenberg, Marvin, that is, and Christian Orban have set the same lap time, just over half a second off of Enzo Filippo. So clearly there's a lot of pace in quite a few of these drivers, and it's going to be difficult in the opening race to make sure you keep yourself near the front, because you don't want to ruin your evening at the first time of asking.
Yes, indeed. Well, I've just got a purple first sector coming in from Christian Michael as we ride on board with. Don't worry, I will get the corner names correct. At least to a certain degree. This is up towards Biga de Pato that you were alluding to earlier, which I call turn 4, but that's fine, we're not going to do that. Of course, heavy onto the brakes, really tricky into this one. You can get a good dive bomb in there. If you lure us Hamlet, you can send someone off and only pick up a 5-second time penalty as we head our way down the hill up towards Junshao. Looking like a pretty solid lap time there from Christian Michael, but bailing out of it. Philip Dreiss is now improving a little bit in the first sector.
He is improved, but it's not enough to put himself ahead of Enzo Filippo. Just about a quarter of a tenth down. There is absolutely nothing there. There he is, though, with his camera, the needracing.com driver, with all of his team gear on, as I'm sure he is meant to have, as he makes his way now into the final couple of corners towards Jung Sao. And yeah, about a tenth and a half off. This could be an improvement, but it's not going to put him anywhere in the top 2.
No, but again, it's maybe just about getting close to Christian Michael. Enzo Filippo is going faster in the first sector, though. We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll see the end of the lap as we head through turn 15, where the pit entry is on the left-hand side up towards the line at the moment. See if there's going to be any improvement from Philip Dreiss. Do remember as well, this is open setup. So just because you're going weak in sector 1 and 2, you might have set your car up to be a little bit quicker on the straight bits down towards the center S. So this is open setup compared to what we have with the M2CS Racing Cup, where things are closed, everyone's on the same stuff. In this, you've got a bit of freedom to experiment. First sector coming in from Enzo Filippo is faster by 2,000 per second, slightly slower in the second though, as Kunze's improving.
Yeah, Kunze's looking very quick in the opening sector, and he needs those times, as well as Dreiss, who's also gone purple. So a lot of drivers in the mix, a lot of drivers also improving. You can see down the timing tower, there's quite a few green sectors. Let's see what Filippo can do. Can he improve on that time? It doesn't look like it. No, it would be a time good enough for second, or third if you include his own time, but it's not going to be good enough to put any further distance between himself and the 3 Germans behind him. We'll have to see what Julian Kunze's middle sector is. That's going to be quite indicative of his lap. And again, losing about a tenth and a half in that middle sector, and he's going to be struggling to put himself on the front row again.
But this is kind of what I mean about the open setup. The fact is that I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that potentially they're running a slightly faster car in a straight line. Because obviously sector 1, you've got the high speed down to turn 1 and 2, and then the high speed down towards turn 4 at the end of the Resta Riposta. So realistically speaking, they could be running a faster car in a straight line. That will help them tremendously in the race if they can start on the front couple of rows for the entirety of the NeedRacing.com group. As Kunze bails from his lap, 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go. Won't have enough time to get out there and complete another one. So the session ready to end for quite a few of our drivers. And for Kunze, it will be 4th and no better. For Balázs Nagy, also out 7th and no better. Enzo Filippo. That is the time to beat then 37.5 because he has bailed from the session.
Yeah, it was a brief yellow flag out as well. I think it was Gasper mishing the circuit there at some point. There was someone else that was also off. I was too caught up in my own line to see who that was. But Christian Michel, he looks like he's improving in the first sector, but again, not in the middle, and he's really got to nail Jung Sao here if he wants to get himself onto pole position, because otherwise he's going to find himself behind the Frenchman again, and Filippo's going to have the upper hand going into the finale.
Let's see how fast this car is in a straight line. Just because it's fast in a straight line does not mean it's necessarily fast up the hill. The driver as well that brought out the yellow flag was Christian Orban, by the way, in 9th position. Christian Michel then up towards the line. Let's see what he can do as he crosses the beam. 1:37.544 to beat across the line, so 37.7. It's not going to be quick enough. So the Frenchman, who did win the previous round of the championship after looking a little bit lower than his normal standard over the first couple, only picking up podiums, not victories, now tops the timesheets, ready to go back-to-back when it comes to titles here in the RaceRoom Ranked Championship of 2024. It'll be Enzo Filippo starting from pole position with Christian Michel, Philip Dries, Kunze and D'Amico behind. Then we'll have Sven Mackenberg, Balázs Nagy, Marvin Mackenberg, Christian Orban and Mihai Neg rounding out the top 10. Seen Sven and Marvin Mackenberg always towards the back end of the top 10, but never really much lower than that. Alex Mosen will start from 11th position with Peter Daniel. Jean Petre will start from 13th position with Laser. And Gaspar Misch. Actually, that's not a bad qualifying from him compared to normal. Daz Higgs will start from the 16th position. Then Shane Hill. Zakuki, great name, then Descent, and then, of course, Matron Gant will start from 20th position there. Final few, we'll see Johnson, then Berendt, then Bibiloni, of course, Whitman, Granado, then Stempler, and Ricardo Costa. Represent Ricardo Costa. Not seen his name for a little while. Could be a generic name. Who knows? Of course, that was a good qualifying session. Enzo Filippo on top again.
Yeah, tight as well. There wasn't really much in it between quite a few of the guys, particularly at the top in the front four, only about a quarter of a second or so. But there were times further back as well. We saw a couple of times tied during that session. But it does show that these drivers, they're going to have to really pull it out of the bag. It's not going to be easy for the front guys to pull away from the rest, because clearly there's going to be some resistance from the drivers behind if they try and break away at the front.
Now, Philip Dries has been the form man throughout the season thus far, obviously topping the point sheet coming into this, winning the first couple of rounds. Do you still think it's his to lose, or do you think Enzo Filippo, after winning the M2CS Racing Cup, after winning the previous round of the Lausitz Ring, do you think it's more his to lose?
I think in this scenario, with him starting on pole, he had that 10th. The drivers around him couldn't quite find the time. They could clearly find some time in the opening sector, but Filippo looks very strong in the middle sector. And if he can if he can get away cleanly at the front and lead through that first lap, at middle sector, even if he gains 2-3 tenths every single lap through there, he could find himself more at ease from the guys behind. So I think this start could be really important for him, because throughout the race, it looks like he is going to be the one to beat.
Now, this is going to be the important race of the evening. Longer for the first race, 25 minutes. Generally speaking, the winner of this race goes on to win the round. That's what we've seen so far in the M4 GT4 Trophy. Dara Thacker, who wins the trophy?
I'm going to stick with Filippo, and I'm sorry if that ruins anything, but I know you believe in the commentator's curse, Lewis, so I'm going to go with Filippo.
Well, let's see what happens. Of course, the time is ticking down. Filippo will be starting from pole position, but it's the three NeedRacing.com drivers that will be starting behind. Philip Dries, Christian Michel, and of course, Julian Kunze looking to try and steal the crown off the Frenchman. It's a short run down towards turn one, but of course, it is the uphill run down towards the Senna S. Let's see what's going to happen. It is finale time here in the M4 GT4 Trophy. Filippo will be starting from pole position. Lewis McLeod, Dara Thacker starting qualifying from the commentary booth. Christian Mikel, Philip Dries, Julian Kunze, winner takes all here at Interlagos as we get ready to go racing here, and we begin the season finale. Filippo from pole position on the left-hand side of the screen, instantly trying to cover off, but it's a better start. Already into the barrier in the background goes Marvin Mackenberg, and straight down the inside, Christian Mikel will take over the race lead. A big send from the NeedRacing.com driver. Filippo is sent straight over the curb. He's run out wide coming through the centre S, and Christian Mikel will have the race lead.
No extra inches given there by Christian Mikel, and Filippo was going to force his way down the inside at turn 2, but as it is, he's going to come under pressure from Kunze and Luca D'Amico, who's had a fantastic start. He's looking down the inside at the seat of Interlagos, not going to be able to pick up any positions, and in fact, coming under pressure from Philip Dries, but there's Filippo Kunze coming through turn 4 and 5. It's side by side behind with Dries and Luca D'Amico, and really, that was an incredibly important start for Mikel to get in front of Filippo, who I said looks strong in this middle sector.
Yeah, D'Amico to the outside, and he's been the full man when it comes to defence throughout the entire season, although getting squeezed out wide just a little bit as Dries was taking the inside line as they head their way up the hill, obviously through Ferradura, Larangino, and now down towards Pinarino. And of course, it will be D'Amico back down to 5th position. Sven Mackenberg sat behind and eyeing up a potential move. Marvin Mackenberg, the big loser of all of that, dropping down to 15th position there. Big shame for him.
Yeah, awful start. We saw him spearing into the wall, didn't we, off of the start. And he's going to come under pressure from Higgs and Zakuki in the not-too-distant future. But, yeah, awful for him, particularly in the finale. I mean, if it happened at the start of the season, maybe he'd feel a little bit better about it. But in such an important situation, he's going to be gutted, I'm sure, as will be Pascal Jean-Pret, because he slipped down to the back of the order, and the Swiss driver looks to have had some instant coming out of the final corner.
So not going to be a gold medal for Jean-Petre, you're absolutely right. Down towards the first turn. Christian Mikel then will complete the first lap in the lead here at Interlagos. Enzo Filippo will be in second position with Kunze and Dries behind, then D'Amico, then Sven Mackenberg. But it's me. Do remember though, with Christian Mikel, with Julian Kunze and with Philip Dries, they are all teammates. So keep your eye on those. Enzo Filippo's got his work cut out for him. They did work well as a team back at the Lausitz ring. Let's see if they can work well as a teammate around here at the Interlagos.
Yeah, but there's the added pressure of this being a final. I don't know how much team play will come into effect here. Here's Filippo looking at it up into Ferradura. Difficult to make it a move through the horseshoe, and he's not going to be able to do it here. Maybe a bit of a send in towards turn 8, but not doing there. If anything, Julian Kunze looking for it, and nearly losing the rear end in his pursuit of getting in P2. But as it stands, Julian Kunze, you can see him there with that lovely window behind him, giving him enough light into the room as they make their way into Bico de Pado for what will be the second time, isn't it, or third time if I've completely missed out a lap in my memory. But Dries is there as well. So this top 4, they are starting to run away because that gap to Luca D'Amico is growing. Yeah,
I mean, nice counting. Also, is it a lovely window? Who knows? All I know is that Julian Kunze is one of the most experienced drivers on this platform. Not in terms of amount of races in the RaceRoom ranked side of things. That really does kind of lean its way, at least in this top grouping, towards Enzo Filippo, of course, is #1 in the world on the platform. But Kunze's basically, he's been at the front and he's done it all and he's won it all when it comes to being a front runner. Even back in the old eSports WTCC days, I remember him winning the inaugural eSports WTCR Trophy at the Nürburgring in person. That was when I retired. I remember it very well. It's fine. I'm sorry about it. But of course, Kunze sat there in third. He knows how to get things done when things require that extra little bit of maybe being a bit heavy-handed coming through on Filippo. There comes a look from his teammate, though. Philip Dries sends one down the inside of Kunze. Can't quite compete. Here's a big spin in the background. Who was that? That was Sven Mackenberg going for a bit of a spin, dropping back a few positions behind Mihai Neg. And here comes Alex Mosen around the outside.
Awful stuff for both of the Mackenberg brothers, it does seem, as down the inside does come Mosen in towards Ferradura. He's going to get that position unless Mackenberg can hook it around the outside, which is so difficult to do. And what we've just seen proves that, not able to get the line. But good stuff for the likes of Noj and Nej. It's useful to be next to each other because that's not going to be confusing at all. But realistically, those guys are going to be fighting over a reverse grid pole with the top 5 being reversed after the opening race. And Luca D'Amico is in prime position at the moment because really that's going to be critical, I reckon, generally for the evening. It's going to be difficult to win the night starting or finishing the first race from 5th, but really going to be where anybody but these top 4 are going to have to be.
Well, as we come round then onto the start-finish straight, do remember the race victory in the first one, because this is the longer race. This is by far the more important of the race victories this evening. Christian Mikel will continue to lead. The closing in the slipstream comes in from Enzo Filippo. Goes to the outside, looks back to the inside as we come down into the centre S. It will be the German hanging on to the front. Out wide, though, a little bit. Contact for second place, and a big spin for Julian Kunze. He was half committed down the inside of the centre S, and his chance of going after the M4 GT4 Trophy are officially over.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a shake of the head. I think it was Philip Dryce having a shake of the head, but Julian Kunze is going to be absolutely gutted. It's going to be difficult to work his way back up now, but as we also have a problem with Matrignon going around, who's going to slip to the back of the order as well, it now really leaves these three to start to run away once again, and I don't know how happy Dryce was maybe with Filippo in that situation. I'm not too sure. Of course, his teammate getting spun around, but there was definitely a shake of the head.
I mean, for me, it was a little bit half committed, though. That's the problem, is that if you're going to send it down the inside at turn one, you've got to be committed to the move. You've absolutely got to be like, I'm going to send it down the inside here. I'm going to be fully alongside with you by the time we get towards the apex. And the fact is that I don't feel Julian Kunze was that committed. I think it's more because Enzo Filippo was looking for a move on Christian Mikel, kind of backed out of it and almost forced the half move there from Julian Kunze.
Yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, it's such a long way around the corner at turn one here at Interlagos, isn't it? So it's difficult to really make a half-hearted send when you start turning in pretty early, realistically, just to get the apex and keep it tight for the run towards turn two. But here comes Filippo on Christian Michel, got the slipstream in the tow, tugging himself towards the leader, Christian Michel. Down the inside he looks, but that's going to be covered off by the German.
Yeah, indeed. Certainly is good at tugging himself along to try and look for the inside move. Enzo Filippo going for it, but can't quite make his way through. Christian Mikel able to hang on to the race lead. We head now out through turn three, down towards turn four. It's being held by the German for now, as Mikel will take the inside line, the defensive move at the end of the Retroposta. Two wheels on the grass there from Enzo Filippo as he tries to struggle to find a way through. Out wide through T4, might leave the door open as we head up towards Ferradura.
Yeah, but we've seen how difficult it is to overtake it up at Ferradura, and can Dryce maybe look to the inside? So dangerous to go to the inside there. You're absolutely going to get your front end chopped off, but Filippo was able just to keep him at bay, really, as they work their way into the middle sector now. Christian Michel's going to be enjoying Dryce having a couple of looks, though, because it means that he's a little bit safer in the lead of this race, but still a long way to go. We've still got 17 minutes. This is that's nearly a send from Dryce. I was going to say this has been... Oh, that's a big old send from Dryce, and he's hit him in the rear.
Yeah, that's not ideal for Philip Dryce. He's opened up the door, and Enzo Filippo then forced back down into third position. The important bit for the Frenchman now is to remain calm. If he sees the red mist, that's where he's not going to reach to the end of the race. Keeping calm right now, giving a few minutes to cool down a little bit. Obviously, there's so much time left to go in this race. 16 minutes and 50 seconds left before we'll have a 15-minute season finale after this one. The worst thing he can do is let this get into his own head. Just stay calm.
Yeah, you can't get too flustered, really, can you? Especially this early on in the race, like I was trying to say earlier, not even halfway through this race. So a long, long way to go. There's definitely going to be chances for him to make the move, especially if the teammates start to try and help each other. That's just going to open the door for Enzo Filippo to try and walk through. But all of this is helping out the likes of D'Amico, Noj and Nej, because they're getting a little bit more hope that they may be able to be on reverse grids, or in a better position in the reverse grid.
I don't believe that anyone behind like D'Amico, like Noj, like Neg, like Orban, Mosin, Sven Mackenberg or Julian Kunze, I don't believe they're going to be able to rejoin this fight. I just don't think they've got the speed and consistency that the top three have shown, not only in this race, let's remind you, but throughout the season as well. It really has been NeedRacing.com versus Enzo Filippo, and I think that is going to remain its way into the evening as well. When the top five get reversed, like you say, we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, is D'Amico and Noj the two. The only way that they're going to have any hope of getting an extra couple of drivers into the reverse grid is if the top three make some pretty severe contact. Already, I'm seeing the timesheets light up purple at the moment. Everyone's setting personal best. The fastest of all of them, though, is Philip Dryce in second position.
Which is interesting because he's been somewhat released, hasn't he, from the back of Enzo Filippo after making that move, and now he is doing his utmost to try and catch up to his teammate Christian Michel, but he's not really catching much, is he? The gap is still about 2/3 of a second, so Michel looking like he's controlling the pace at this stage with 15 minutes to go, but by no means is anybody safe because they're still within striking range, aren't they, really?
Fastest lap of the race will actually remain in the hands of Enzo Filippo. 1:37.942 he's just set, beating out the 37.995 and the 38.111 from the two drivers ahead. So it is closing up within that top grouping. 3/4 of a second separate Christian Michel, Philip Dries and Enzo Filippo. Big send down the inside from the Frenchman. That was never going to work down into turn forward. Remember when I said that he needed to stay calm? He needed the red mist not to take over. I think the red mist is taken over.
I reckon he'll say that he missed the breaking point there, but I'm not too sure that he did. That was quite a send. I mean, that was Verstappen-esque down there, wasn't it? But didn't work out. Sorry?
I did think it was in that vein. Zach Sweeney will be a huge fan of that move.
Ooh, it's D'Amico and Orban. Oh, that's Neja going side by side, down in towards turn 8 or 9 now as they work their way through the long left-hander. And it's going to give Neja the outside line to go down the inside at Vico de Pato. Can he make this one work? We've seen moves here before, not least Dries absolutely sending it up the inside of Enzo Filippo. But Luca D'Amico, space not particularly left the Italian, and he won't be happy about that one. He's got Christian Orban to worry about.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, these feisty fights further down. Christian Orban with a look to the inside, but can't do anything into the final turn. Yeah, no, I was going to say, I'm in complete agreement. I think like Filippo just overcommitted down to that corner, and as much as he can blame it on maybe missing the braking zone, I think thankfully he's come back into the slipstream of Philip Dries. The top three should remain comfortably within 1 second, but he's lost a little bit of ground here. It's certainly not going swimmingly for the M2 CS Racing Cup champion as Christian Orban closes down to the slipstream. Sven Mackenberg and Alex Mosen might be switching positions behind.
Yeah, they look like they're fighting their way through the opening couple of corners, don't they? Down the hill through the center S's. But look at this exit from Christian Orban. He is right on the tail of Luca D'Amico, maybe losing a little bit of time washing out wide as they come to the exit of the corner down towards the Reda Riposta, but he's close enough to really be in with a shout. Here's Julian Kunze trying to recover his position, a very late send to the inside of his countryman Mojin, but can he get this done into turn 4 and 5? I think he has. A little bit of contact maybe on the exit, but he is through nice and cleanly, and his next target's going to be Sven Mackenberg.
That was a big send to the inside. Like you say, Julian Kunze working his way back up bit by bit. Again, do you remember every position he gains in this is a better position that he'll be starting in the next one. Sure, he might not be in contention for a reverse grid, which of course pertains to the top 5, although maybe Kunze can work his way back into it. He's playing his way forward, and there's still half of the race left to go. But if you finish in 6th, you start in 6th. So for Kunze, there is benefit in him moving his way forward. Less so to give him a chance to go for the title. I think the ship has sailed on that one because to get too many points for this race that he'd require an unbelievable amount of luck. But more to assist his teammates for the final.
Yeah, because he wants to be there and helping them out to win the title. Even if he can't win that crown, he wants to be there or thereabout to help. And even if he can get up to the likes of Luca D'Amico and be in P6 right behind them on the start of the second race, he'll be within striking distance to help them then. But these three at the front, they have compressed, haven't they? The gap, what was the gap between Michel and Dries is now the gap between Michel and Filippo. So these three much closer together now. And 11 minutes to go, you wouldn't really put it out of the question that Filippo's going to make another one of those sends.
38.126 on the previous lap from our race leader. 3/10 of a lap faster was Philip Dries over the previous one. He was actually faster than Enzo Filippo as well by about 0.5 of a second. Of course, he's got less ground to work into. Filippo out wide at T4 as well. So just maybe overdoing the car a little bit. He is seriously overdriving this car right now. That's the problem that Enzo Filippo had, which is the exact opposite problem as to what we saw back at the Lausitz ring, where, to be perfectly honest, it did seem as though Christian Michel, Philip Dries, and the LeadRacing.com bunch in the first race were seriously overdriving the car. They came back strong in the second race of the evening, but for Enzo Filippo, it just doesn't look comfortable. Isn't that the typical Frenchman that we see?
No, maybe that's the pressure of the occasion. I mean, he is such a well-honed driver on the RaceRoom platform in pretty much anything he drives. He's got title after title. He wins race after race in the ranked championship. Of course, we mentioned he's already won one of the ranked events so far this season. He's going for 2 from 2, and that'll be really what he's looking for. He doesn't really want to be giving that up into the final race because he's been so good for so long that To lose it, especially in what he would call contentious circumstances, would be gutted for him.
Yes, indeed. Well, like I say, there's not too long left to go in this race. 10 minutes as we see the timer ticking down. Julian Kunze about to pick off another one. It's Sven Mackenberg is about to find his way past as he picks up the slipstream of Christian Orban. Will he be able to get the pair of them on the race down to the first corner? I think not, as he squeezes over the nose, sends Mackenberg out a little bit wide down into T1 as they find their exit and drop their way down the hill. Can Kunze get himself in that top 5? I think he might be able to be honest.
I wouldn't put it past him, to be fair, especially with the fact that we've got Noj and Nej leading. Well, actually, Noj has run away. Nej leading that train, and he's only, what, maths, a second in front? You can see them all in that picture now that Kunze is definitely there. But he's definitely not out of the fight here, especially if he can get to the front of the field for race 2, start to drive away, and something happens to his teammates. Now, you cannot rule him out for maybe even a win this evening. There's something happened to Marvin Mackenberg as well, because he slipped down a few positions behind Mission Hill. This is the top 3 once again, 9 minutes on the clock, and there just isn't much separating these guys. And Filippo, he had the pace in qualifying. Can he show that pace in the race? Because he's clearly getting better exits than the German in front of him.
You see the positions gained and lost on the right-hand side of the tower. So the most in the top grouping is that of Mihai Neg. As a couple more switches, see Julian Kunze working his way bit by bit forward. He's in 7th position, got 2 more spots to make up before being the all-important top 5 in that reverse grid. I still think, again, with a 5th place, because of how many points come out of this first race, a 5th place, sure, he might be able to win the season finale. The likelihood is he won't score enough points over the 2 races here tonight, and that's how the championship is decided here in the grand final. It's about your points total and the the round winner. So it's about the points you take from race 1, the points you take from race 2, and being the highest positioned driver over the 2 races. That determines the winner here in the M4 GT4 Trophy, as it would be for a round win throughout the season.
Yes, you can kind of forget about everything that's happened so far this season, apart from really the form guide, because nothing else is particularly going to matter. Just really who can come out with the fastest pace here at Interlagos. So I'm sure these drivers were very much hoping that their preferred circuits were chosen in the vote for this event, because they would have had a preference, no doubt about it. And I mean, those who would have wanted to have Interlagos, with maybe this being their best track of the choices that were there, are going to be pleased. And for others, they're maybe going to feel like they're on the back foot coming into this race already. But look at that from Filippo. You can already see him moving around, really on the gearbox, not just in the mirrors. You cannot see the front end of that car for most of the braking zones. You can see again that the grille is gone from the rearview mirror of Philip Dreiss, and that's not going to be very comfortable for him.
No, certainly not. It's getting more comfortable though for that race leader, as you say. Christian Mikel pulling out 9/10 of a second. I think Philip Dreiss will be slowing things down ever so slightly, bit by bit, as they work their way up the hill. This could mean though that there might be an overtake coming down into turn 1 as pressure's starting to build. 7 minutes left to go in this race, just a handful of laps and the opening race of the evening. Will the defensive line be enough coming in from Philip Dreiss in second position? I think that car is fast in a straight line. We were talking about the NeedRacing.com drivers, at least through qualifying. They were setting really good first sector times, but it does indicate a pretty quick car in a straight line. I'm curious though, Darragh Thacker, what track would you have picked for the season finale between Interlagos, where we're racing, between Sonoma, or between the twin ring Motegi, or as Zach Sweeney once called it, the twin ring Motegi? Which is very good.
That doesn't surprise me that he said that, to be fair, but I probably would have picked Interlagos out of those 3. Sonoma, a little bit too tight, a little bit too twisty. I think it's fair to say you wouldn't get necessarily some great racing. Qualifying would be important there. Same you could say about Motegi, although it's a little bit more open, but I think Interlagos really provides the best of a balance for a finale.
And it is the one I voted for, even though I did vote for Motegi first. I do like Motegi, but when it comes to season finales and excitement, unless you're on a motorbike, it ain't it. And Sonoma, I actually quite like driving Sonoma. But yeah, that first turn's hard. Obviously, as you go up the hill, drop down a few gears. As is it hard for this battle here, as the battling most certainly continues a little bit further down the order. We continue to see various bits of the side-by-side as Daz Higgs will make his way to the inside of Petter Daniel a little bit further down, and we'll try and complete the move. I think might actually Moses, right?
I think so. As they run their way
Oh, it was
through. I mean,
Liza.
oh, Leisha. Yeah. Oh, look at that move though. That's that's Gasper Mish and that's Hill coming together through Jungsow. That was nearly absolute calamity for the both of them. But they'll make their way through regardless, and actually haven't lost that much time. Somehow, as they run up towards the line once again with only less than 5 minutes on the clock now, so time really dropping away from these drivers. Anybody going to make a send back here? Gasper Mish going for it? No, he's just going to try and defend, I think. From Shane Hill in behind. The one of two Aussies in this race who looking to... He's moving around with the car, trying to make it a full simulator.
Yeah, indeed. As he wrestles the car, and obviously it is one of the joys of a global grand final, the global final, which sees the drivers come in from Australia, from the Americas as well. Does mean that sometimes their pings are a little bit higher, which in my experience racing with is hard work. Having been teammates with Southpaw Racer for a couple of years, obviously Reese Garden, it does make things very tricky indeed, as seeing a couple of battles happening back there. We'll jump back up there to see what's happening with Julian Kunze. Big move to the inside. That's very brave to try and sneak one on D'Amico.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a pretty impressive move if he was to make it. But he knows he has to get past on D'Amico immediately if he wants to get into that top 5. Neige is starting to stretch his legs a little bit, and it could be such a defeating moment for Julian Kunze if he just comes up short and finishes 6th in this race to start 6th in race 2, albeit will be starting directly behind his 2 teammates. But I would not be surprised if we saw a bit of a send into turn 1 here from Kunze.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see if we're going to see something as we race our way up into the slipstream. Julian Kunze closing in on D'Amico bit by bit, as we'll see him come down into that first corner. Let's see, he gets to the outside, will maybe sneak it to the inside, bit of contact between the pair of them as they race down into that first turn. Sends it straight around the outside, leaving the inside at T2. It's not really going to work for him. It's far too brave to try and sneak that one down there. Just not going to work.
No, and he's got to be very careful about how he tries to make this move here, because he cannot be too rash in the delivery of the move. 3 minutes left on the clock, and time is going to start to become his enemy, so he may get ever more desperate as the seconds continue to tick down. But for Philip Dries, I don't know whether this is his pace, whether he's doing a very good hold-up job for Christian Michel, because Christian Michel, I mean, you would think that Dries would at least have a look at some point, as Filippo nearly does into turn 9. But yeah, Michel's just been driving away from Philip Dries, and he hasn't really had an answer.
Well, I mean, you say that, but the last lap, it was once again a low 38. It was a 38.0 for our race. It was a 37.8. It was a 37.7 fastest lap of the race on the previous one from the driver we're currently on board in. With 2 minutes left to go and 2 laps left on the clock, things are building up as Kunze sends one straight around the outside, makes contact with D'Amico. Oh, that was a little bit dicey indeed, as Christian Orban would go straight around the outside, really what was realistically the penultimate corner, but just a little bit of contact there.
Yeah, not too much going on, but still enough that it wouldn't have been comfortable, and I think there's going to be some questions asked regardless about that. 2 minutes left on the clock. I think we're going to get one more after this, aren't we? Yes, we certainly are. They're going to cross the line with 25 seconds left. So 2 more laps to go here at Interlagos. And this is really going to be important. Because can Filippo get through on Dries? Can Dries get through on Michel? It doesn't look like either of those things are going to happen. But that could really decide who wins the night.
That is indeed why I said 2 laps to go. That's it. Sometimes trust the commentator's maths, although I am okay with you doubting me, because I'm not Ewan O'Leary, and as much as I've got spreadsheets filling up my Google Drive, they're not quite like yours. Even though I still hate the fact that you do them as points rather than positions, but that's fine. We can talk about that afterwards. As we look further down the order to see Gaspar Misch leading the battle, Daz Higgs directly behind, then Leon Liza, and of course Shane Hill.
Yeah, Shane Hill's in there representing the Aussies, of course. It's quite disconcerting, actually, to have Daz Higgs here, because Daz was one of my nicknames at school, and I haven't heard that in a while, so disconcerting for me.
But we call you that all the time on this Discord.
You are now, aren't you? One more lap to go then, and it's going to be interesting to see, because look at Filippo. Dries has really lost a big chunk of that slipstream effect from his teammate, and Michel doesn't look like he's going to be helping him out anytime soon. So Filippo definitely going to be having a look, and you can see him just gaining down towards turn 1, which would be his last big opportunity, you'd say.
Yeah, let's see if there's going to be the move coming in from Enzo Filippo then. Final lap of the race, he looks to the inside, commits to it, tries to send it, makes contact. The pair of them are going to run out wide. Big slide coming in from Philip Dries as we head down the hill. That was a big bit of contact between the pair of them as we come through the opening sector of the lap. Of course, they did make contact earlier on in the race, and that's why they switched position.
Yeah, that was a scary moment. That could have gone very badly for the both of them, and it could have been absolute dreamland for Noj and Nej. But here is Nej on the back of Noj as they work their way down towards turn 4. The Romanian against the Hungarian. The Hungarian looks like he's going to come out on top unless there's a bit of a send. But look at this, behind 3 wide on the exit of turn 2 in towards turn 3. Gasper Mish along with Higgs and Leisure. They're really finding it out for P12 here.
Yeah, he certainly can't make a mistake here. Gaspar Mish defending for all he possibly can. To the outside comes Liza. We break our way down into turn 4. Bit of contact between the two of them. He's sent out wide. Daz Higgs sends one back down the inside. Shane Hill's also coming past. And, well, Gaspar Mish is hanging on.
He's not going to let this go, is he, as they work their way towards Ferradura, but this is now a very strong train of 5. They are nose to tail as they work their way through, with only a few more corners to go, because the leaders are coming out of the final turn now.
Certainly so. And of the 3 NeedRacing.com drivers, Christian Mikel came into this as the lowest ranked of all of them. Well, he's going to move his way right up in the record books now as he takes victory in the opening race of the global final. It is Christian Mikel taking top points now from Philip Dries behind, who will just about be able to beat out Enzo Filippo. Who's going to be joining them on the reverse grid, though? I think it's going to be Balázs Nagy and Mihai Neg, who will round out 4th and 5th. Julian Kunze, 1 position outside of being reversed.
Yeah, gutting for him, really, because he fought back so well, but just not into that top 5 in the end. I mean, he's going to be ruining the incident that happened that cost him, you'd say, a chance at getting himself into that reverse grid. But regardless, this is big for Christian Michel because he is now in prime position to win this title. We're heading into race 2.
Yeah, exactly. So the pressure really is on for Christian Mikel, which is great, to be fair. You know, he's a driver that can certainly deal with it. He's certainly a driver that can rise to the occasion. But we'll take a look at the results, of course. Christian Mikel, Philip Dries, Enzo Filippo, Balázs Nagy and Mihai Neg. Those will be the 5 that will get reversed for the next race. Julian Kunze in 6th position with Christian Orban, Tomiko, Sven Mackerberg and Alex Mosin rounding out the top 10. Behind all that will be Petter Daniel, then Gaspar Mish, Daz Higgs, Shane Hill, Leon Liza, and of course Marvin Mackerberg after very early drama. Pascal Jean-Petre had dropped down the order earlier on but had dragged his way back up the order. Bibi Loney will be in 18th position with Brett Descent in 19th position and Jason Stempler rounding out the top 20. The positions behind we'll see Ricardo Costa, Aputi Wittem, then Granado, Matrigont, of course, and Zakuki in 25th, Berendt and Johnson. Zakuki might be up there for my favourite name. No, I was going to say something else. It's fine. We're going to move straight on from that. It's fine. It's not worth it. Obviously, one more race coming up later on this evening. We'll be dealing with that. But before that, we're going to have a little bit of a breather and get ready for the final race of the season. Back then and ready for action, of course. One final race to decide the top crown. Christian Mikel in the pound seat as well to try and do so. Of course, Lewis McGlade, Darragh Thacker in the commentary booth. Well, you said Enzo Filippo. I think the feisty Frenchman might have agreed with you before the race, but NeedRacing.com have come through to take a 1-2 in the opening race of the evening.
Yeah, I'm sure you agree with me. That was the commentator's curse that I put on him there. So, yeah, sorry to Enzo for that one. But yeah, it's still up for grabs in a sense. I mean, something can happen between some of the drivers. They've got to fight their way back to the front really. Otherwise, they're going to come under pressure from the drivers behind. Nej and Noj in front are going to come into play. There's no way that they're just going to, be the Red Sea parting at the start of the race. So they're going to have to fight their way through, and something can happen there. We saw, for instance, between the top guys in race 1, and it can happen again in race 2.
Well, the warm-up has ended, so they're going to move their way through into the second race. We'll get ourselves ready for that one as they'll be getting themselves on the grid. Of course, it'll be a 15-minute race in this one. Basically, from how the points work, essentially, if Christian Mikel avoids drama, if he gets himself, top 5, top 3, he wins the evening, regardless of what anyone else can do. And I am being told, is that Christian Mikel's had a crash and he's not in?
Oh no, oh god, that would be disastrous if he has. That blows open what we were just saying, doesn't it? Really, and that now puts Philip Dries into prime position, and now puts Filippo in a direct dogfight in that regard.
Indeed. Can he take top honours? We've got about 30 seconds before this race starts, and we'll have that information confirmed to you. But there could be huge drama here in the M4 GT4 Trophy. And between that, then, between Philip Dries and Enzo Filippo, if that is the case, it will basically be winner takes all around Interlagos. Who comes out on top between the pair of them? Are you going to go Filippo again? Let's wait and see. We're out on the grid, though, and I can confirm there is no Christian Mikel in this race. This is huge drama for the championship. Kunze will then be starting from the reverse grid pole, courtesy of how it works. So it's actually promoted him from the previous race up to 5th position. So Kunze starting from first, then Mihai Neg, then Drace, then Filippo, and then Balázs Nagy as we head into the first corner. Nagy trying to get to the outside of Enzo Filippo, but it is Julian Kunze with the head of the field after much confusion.
Yeah, Noj has been done over there into the opening corner. Inside line was Filippo, outside line was Dries, and they've both got him at turn 1, but making their way down towards, or down the road of Raposta towards the Ciudad del Lago. Kunze leads from Nej, from Dries and Filippo, but Filippo up the inside trying to make the move early, and he's gone around nearly, well, not quite that left, but it's dropped him down the order. Surely that's championship chances over.
I think that's it done for him. I think this puts Philip Dries into the driving position. Obviously, he finished second in the previous race, so it's not certainly done for him. He could really do with finishing second or maybe even first in this one. But Philip Dries, the form man through the season, is the one who, through a bit of luck with his teammate getting booted out from this race, and then also with a bit of a fortuitous position there by Enzo Filippo dropping down the order, could now be staring at the M4 GT4 Trophy.
Yeah, that is absolutely... I mean, the drama that we've just had in the last, 3 minutes is extreme. We've just had 2 of the 3 championship contenders fall out from the front of the field at a complete contention. And now, really, it looks a bit like a procession for Philip Dries, unless Julian Kunze can somehow win the race and something happens to Philip Dries. This looks almost nailed on for the German.
Certainly so. Was further looks down the order. Shane Hill on the attack, trying to work his way forward. Got the look coming in from Leisberg as they head down towards turn 1, but got Marvin Mackenberg and Jean Petre closing in as we head our way down towards the first corner. The green machine of Marvin Mackenberg sends it to the inside, commits to the move on Shane Hill. By the time they get it rested to the apex at turn 1, although with a poor line through turn 2 for Shane Hill, Marvin Mackenberg could be coming at him down into turn 4.
Yeah, let's see if anything can develop in this battle. And there's a bit of a move to the outside line as they run their way down the little crest there in towards the Ciudad del Lago, as Marvin Mackenberg looking for the outside line, but Shane Hill keeping that inside line with ease and making sure that he does not lose out on the position. And now here comes Pascal Jean Petre in behind. But looking back at the front, it's Philip Dries trying to get himself past Mihai Nej, and both of these drivers know each other very, very well from many series. Who can come out on top? Big snap of oversteer from Mihai Nej, but not going to cost him yet.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure what the points necessarily are here as we move into Bigo de Pato with the inside line coming in from Philip Dries getting past Mihai Nej. I don't know, because I think Philip Dries with 3rd spot is good enough, because Julian Kunze was 6th in the previous race and obviously is leading now. But with Philip Dries being 2nd in the previous race and 3rd now, I believe the double podium will be more than enough to take top honours. That said, second and second, or maybe even a second and first, will definitely be enough to cap off the M4 GT4 Trophy comfortably, as Philip Dries looks to the inside. He has had 2-round wins throughout the main season, sneaks his way through into second spot here as he gets past the Romanian and moves his way forward. We could be seeing our champion making progress now.
Yeah, and it could get to a stage where clearly, if it finishes as it was, Philip Dries probably winning the title. Does Julian Kunze just kind of, you know, say, yeah, fair enough to your teammate 11 through, or does he try and fight this one out to the end? We'll wait and see on that one. I think he'll try and fight it. Johnson having some issues at the back of the field. The Aussie's going to drop right to the rear of the order, and so he will have... well, I mean, his chances, with no disrespect, were probably gone after qualifying. So he was racing for pride, and sadly for him, not going too well in this race.
Yeah, indeed. Johnson dropping back down the order. I mean, look, they've done a good job since jumping in. We don't typically see a lot of these names, as Daz Higgs picks up a drive-through penalty. So probably, I'd say second most disappointing Daz of the day. That's fine. Hello. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Of course, Natalie Johnson there down towards the back end of the field, so we'll see what they can do from 25th position. At the moment, they'll just sit at the rear end and maybe have to pick up the scraps of others. That said, only a few seconds behind Jason Stempler off the rear of the field as we keep our eye on Christian Orban, Sven Mackerberg, and of course Enzo Filippo in this fight as well.
Yeah, he's still in P8, so it's not, you know, it's not horrendous. He's not down at the back of the order, but it's still going to be costing him any real chance at a title. Running up down towards turn 1 once again, we've got Sven Mackerberg in Enzo Filippo's sight. So let's see if he's going to go inside, outside here to try and make that move. It looks like it's going to be the inside line for Filippo. Knows he has to get this done. No doubt there's going to be a send. There it is. Moved up before they even reach the apex, and Filippo up to 7th now.
Indeed, how much progress can Enzo Filippo make? I still think the chances of him winning this crown are so remote. In 9 minutes left to go, we'll have to wait and see, because to be perfectly honest, I don't know, I don't see it happening. For Filippo, he has to get through, and he has to take the victory as well. He can't just settle for second or third position. He must take the victory here.
Yeah, there's no ifs or buts for him, really. So he's got to be up there in double quick time. He's got 9 minutes. He's got 6 cars in front of him. That's going to be difficult, frankly, for him to manage. Christian Orban is looking to get past Luca D'Amico, but he's also going to have to be looking in his mirrors, because Enzo Filippo is arriving on the scene, and he is a man with, with some impetus, I think it's fair to say. Inside line at Vico De Pato. I thought he was going to go for it there. He's gone for it there before. Not this time around. And he's going to have to try it somewhere else, because Jung Sao maybe not. It is not maybe the best opportunity. It's
a pointless move down into Jung Sao, because the thing is if you try and move there, you're just open down towards turn 1. It's a completely pointless move. It reminds me of Kimi Räikkönen 2013 on Nico Hülkenberg in the South Korean Grand Prix, Yongan, where he made a move down to turn 1, and I remember sat there as a fairly new racing fan thinking that's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, because guess what happened? Just got overtaken immediately. It's the same thing here. If you make a move down into the corner there at Jung Sao, you're just going to be passed down to turn 1. You're better off waiting like he did there, and why not? Just eliminate Luca D'Amico from the race. Peace out, homie. Now his chance of winning the championship is completely gone. What a mistake.
Oh, no.
Oh, and why not sit in the middle of the road as well?
Yeah, that is, this is something we've never seen from Enzo Filippo before. He's normally so cool and calm. It's almost really surprising just to see him going for moves this aggressively. Clearly, this title means quite a lot, but Luca D'Amico is not going to be a happy Italian. Some hand gestures, I'm sure, being thrown up in that cockpit. But he's slipped down to 11th. It could be worse, but it's meant that Daz Higgs is in the top 10, and we're not missing the rest of the top 10.
Indeed. I will say, for slightly wider context, is Martha Mackerberg, by the way, has been DQ'd from the race for breaching instant limit points. Slightly bigger than, in a sense, than the world that we're currently in and what we're currently watching for the M4 GT4 Trophy. This will actually give a pretty heavy game for Philip Dries to maybe move his way forward to becoming the highest ranked driver in RaceRoom. There is also that to think
And that's an accolade I'm sure he would appreciate. It's something I tried very hard to achieve, and of course it ended up with me sitting up here. No, absolutely not. I don't think I. Yeah, no is the answer. He's going to be happy regardless. There's a reason that he is almost everywhere in the race room scene and even the sim racing scene, because he is an absolute unit in pretty much everything and anything he drives. So no doubt that he will be very, very pleased if he's able to pick up that #1 title along with the M4 GT4 title as well. But look at Sven Mackenberg, Mojin, and this is Petter Daniel working their way down towards the Interlagos this time round. I mean, they're not fighting over anything in terms of a championship, but they're clearly having some fun in the back end of the top 10.
Certainly so. I'm very curious to find out where you're ranked on racing. I don't know how to search for you though, so I guess I can't. It's very sad.
I'll give you a hint. I'm not ranked.
Are you not?
No.
Even I am, mate. I've done races with Enzo Felipe. You'll never guess how far behind I finished. Quite would be the word.
I was going to say 3 laps.
No, I didn't finish a lap down. How dare you?
10-minute race, 3 laps down.
It was in Formula 3 at Zandvoort.
Ooh. Are you good at Formula 3? I don't know if that's whether I don't know if that's
I mean, I'm more of an I'm more of a touring car specialist. Look at Julian Kunter just chilling like a villain as he heads his way up the hill. 5 minutes left to go in this race. He's looking comfortable, 1.7 seconds clear of the driver who is poised to become the series champion.
Yeah, it's going to take really a mistake from Philip to take it away from him now, isn't it? With 5 minutes on the clock, I don't really see this swinging away from him at this point. I think we are going to get another 4 laps. It's going to be very, very close on the time, in fact. Whether we get 3 or 4, we'll have to work it out when the time ticks a little bit further down. But regardless, that's not long. Between winning a title, it then becomes an issue of can you make sure you get the car to the end, because you don't want any mistakes from here.
I've just checked. I'm not ranked very highly, so we're going to move on from this topic. It's fine.
What's the number?
I don't know. I don't know what position. I'm not in the top 10. That's for sure. I am 1,639. I don't know if that's any good. I've done 5 races. Anyway, Sven Mackenberg gets to the inside of Mosen down towards turn 6. The door's open for Christian Orban to work his way through. Bit of leaning between the pair of them, though. Oh, it's a little bit too much. Out wide, Mosen goes.
Yeah, looking for the move is Christian Orban, but not able to find it there. And Mosen is defending this one for P7 in his BMW car. But, yeah, I mean, it settled down a little bit in this pack. They were quite a lot closer about 5-10 minutes ago, but they are back to relative stability in the train, a few tenths between each of them. The same can't really be said for some of the midfields further back. We see Filippo getting past Costa. Filippo making that move for 19th. So after his 2 incidents, he is still inside the top 20.
Yeah, which is still bad. It's not been a good race for it. For Enzo Filippo, who's just trying to round out the season without doing any more damage, as the inside for Shane Hill trying to battle it out with Granado. The pair of them going to switch positions onto we head back out onto the start-finish straight now down towards turn 1. Shane Hill then should be the one in 15th spot. He's got the inside line in the first corner, a bit of contact between the pair of them. Granado going around the outside. Once again, a little bit of leaning. That's an excellent move from Granado.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there from the Venezuelan driver. Shane Hill's going to have a lot of work to do to try and reclaim that position. He's got his countryman Brett Descent just behind him, so got to be careful, because I'm sure Descent will be moving around in the wing mirrors trying to become the top Aussie in this race. Of course, 3 of them, with Johnson down in 20, down in 21. What am I talking about? But there's 3 Aussies. Shane Hill's leading, but that could change.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Again, 2 minutes, 20 seconds left to go in this race. Wherever Julian Kunter is on the circuit, I think he's preparing for the penultimate lap of the race. It might be close to final, to be fair. The time is going to be very close. We come through the final corner. I'm pretty sure we're getting ready for penultimate lap.
Well, this is the thing, though. It's going to
I'm
be
not confident.
very close. Yeah, neither am I. Let's see. Kunze, when does he cross the line? No, we're going to get 2 more laps here. What's the time when he crosses the line? Going to be 1 minute 48. And the lap time he's just set is a 1 minute 37. So absolutely 2 more laps to go.
Indeed. So we have a delay to the crowning of Philip Dryce when it comes to being the champion, because we have to wait an extra. There's a victory lap coming in for NeedRacing.com, who, of course, won 2 the opening race of the evening. They've won 2 of the rounds in the hands of Philip Dryce throughout the night, throughout the season, rather. And they look to be taking the crown here once more. How stressed does he look? Not very. He looks as stressed as Daz did when he was knitting his blanket.
Right. Well, firstly, I did not knit this blanket. This blanket is as old as me. And secondly, he does look very cool. We've seen him in high competition before, where he's been in more stressful scenarios. So I think this is probably quite a nice moment for him, because he doesn't need to do that much apart from drive around, have a lovely time, maybe have a sip of water down the straight if he's feeling brave, and just make his way to the line.
He's not looking as calm as Gergo Boldi did on the way to his WTCR esports crown. When I have this memory, I think it was 2021, maybe 2020, of a race on the Nordschleife, and Gergo Boldi was so calm. He was going up towards where the carousel is, up towards the steel stretcher, but obviously Bravery Corner. Houston's eating marshmallows, just chilling there. Boff, in one, boff, just chilling. It's maybe not quite that relaxed for Philip Dryce, but he's in a great position. 1 final lap to go here in Interlagos and in the M4 GT4 Trophy.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I've had a race that I was doing commentary on, and Aidan Neat was going down the straight, the Mulsanne straight at Le Mans, and was typing in the chat whilst driving. He was that comfortable. Exactly, but here is the final lap moves being made. That is not the right line being taken by Alex Mosian, and he's going to lose out to Christian Orban, who says, thank you very much, I'll nick that P7 on the final lap. And Mosian maybe going to have to settle for 8th, but Gasper Misch is mishing the top 8, and he's hoping to get back in there in the final lap.
It's easy to type on Le Mans, mate. That's why Le Mans is like one of the most overrated circuits on the planet. It's just straights and chicanes with one arguably pretty good section of racetrack. Try doing that in Barbagallo. I had a full conversation with someone doing that in a very weak championship. We won't talk about it. Look at this, though. Obviously, Enzo Filippo dropping right the way back. What's he doing?
Not too sure.
Trying not to do an extra lap is what he's trying to do.
Well, I don't think it's going to be... yeah, that's going to be the issue. You wouldn't really want to do an extra lap if you're that far back, would you really? And Philippe... Oh, hang on, no. I mean, he's not going to... No, he's not going to mess with Philippe.
He just wants to drop back to not do the extra lap, to just so that he can end the evening in what is quite sweaty conditions. I'm pretty sure he's not impressed with what's happened, but then maybe he's not impressed with himself. What we do know, though, is Julian Kunze is going to take the race victory, but the crown is going to go the way of this driver here. Philip Dryce winning the opening couple of rounds of the championship. He hasn't won this evening, but at least he comes out on top when it comes to the title. He does take the entirety of the round victory by finishing second and takes the M4 GT4 Trophy in the RaceRoom Rank Championship.
Yeah, and while the others around him kind of fell away, internet falling away, mistakes being made, he just kept his head. He kept his car pointing in a straight line. That's really what has won him this title by not the most comfortable of margins, with Julian Kunze right next to him, but comfortable enough that he didn't have to worry in the last few laps.
Apparently, I've got to leave you alone because you're T6 Motorsports' favourite of the Hair Bear bunch, whatever that means. That's fine. You can, whatever. You can take that as you will. We'll take the results, though, from the race. It is Julian Kunze, Philip Dryce and Mihai Neg on the podium. Balázs Nagy and Petter Daniel in 5th position, with Sven Mackerberg, Christian Orban, Alex Mosian, and, to be fair, Gaspar Misch inside the top 10. Luca D'Amico at the back end of the top 10 in this race. So the rest of them will filter through. Jean Petra, Liza, Biblioni, Vittem, of course, Granado in that excellent battle that we saw with Hill, Berent there in 16th position with Descent, Cookie, Costa and Johnson, who did say that Natalie Johnson could do something special. He did round out the evening with a top 20. Madrigal, of course, in 21st position with Daz Higgs there in 22nd. Stempler, Enzo Filippo does set the fastest lap of the race but finishes 1 lap down. Christian Mikel and, of course, Shane Hill retirement from the race. Christian Mikel didn't even make the start. And Marvin Mackerberg DQ'd for being a naughty boy.
He wasn't he wasn't having the best of evenings, was he? I mean, he was speared out across the line, wasn't he, on lap 1 of the opening race, which kind of ended any of his chances. But yeah, Marvin Mackenberg, he's been there or thereabouts. Sven had a good race, so you'd probably expect him to be up near his brother, as they're always attached by the hip. But in the end, Marvin not able to do much, but that just does not take away from any of the drivers that finish up near the front. And the likes of Nej and Noj doing very well, probably finishing in the top 5 overall.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to catch up with Philip Dryce after what has been a exciting and fun evening of racing. Like I say, it's always good to see Dryce taking such an honour, such a feat, and especially after how the season started. You know, with the first couple of rounds taking victories round 1 and round 2. And kind of showing the form that he could have, but then having a little bit of a mare at the previous round at the Nordschleife.
Yeah, but he's come through regardless. I mean, he qualified for the final, and that's really what you need to do with the first 3 weeks. And he's done that with ease, and he didn't really have to worry about that after the opening round. He was pretty much a shoo-in at that point, but he just had to deliver tonight, and boy, did he.
Well, sadly, I don't believe we'll be getting an interview with Philip Dryce. And to be fair, in the hot and sweaty conditions that we have here in Europe at the moment, I don't blame him, because the first thing that I would do straight after that webcam's off is find an ice bath and breathe. Either way, it does mean that he takes top honours. 50 points because of the victory of the evening. Julian Kunze will take second over the evening. Balázs Nagy, Mihai Neg, and Christian Mikel still opened out the round with the victory, and so still will be in the top 5, but unfortunately will not see his name become champion, which is a big shame for Christian Mikel. It's the big thing that's been robbed, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be gutted, isn't he? Realistically, that is the one thing that is the worst thing about sim racing, really, is that connection, you could say, because it just prevents you from doing anything else. I mean, there was nothing he could do there. I don't know whether, you know, someone turned the microwave on and his Wi-Fi fell over, something like that, or whether it was just a full outage somewhere. But it's so disappointing for him, and I'm sure he'll be gutted, but there's no reason for him not to bounce back.
Certainly not. And of course, what better way to bounce back than in a week's time when we go racing once more. But of course, we are switching cars. It is no longer the M4 GT4 Trophy as we prepare our final set of 4 races in the 2024 season of the RaceRoom Ranked Championship Season 1. We'll be heading to Daytona Beach before we return to Interlagos, to Imola, and of course, the final global final of the season at the end of August. It'll be the GTE Masters as we switch out the M4 for something a little bit quicker. Should be a fun one. Neither me nor you are on that one, as scheduled, actually, because it will be Juan and Zach taking to the action. Should be a fun one, though, to watch.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, the next series, of course, it's kind of nice to have the 3 series almost in order. Of course, in previous seasons, we've had each series having 1 week every 3, but this kind of condenses it, means each championship is shorter, and you kind of get an idea of the picture every single week. And hopefully, with a tight championship and the tight race that we had here this evening, we'll get more of the same in the GT Masters.
Well, let's find out, because, of course, in 1 week's time, we will return. The Racing Rank Championship getting ready to come to a close. Its final season begins in just a week's time. Join us there here on the RaceRoom YouTube channel, and whilst you're doing it, why not come and take part? Of course, jumping into a new season, now it's time to jump in. Of course, head over to Steam, download RaceRoom, and get yourselves involved in all of the action. For myself, Lewis McGlade, from Dara Thacker, and for the Chris Captain Coffee Boy, thank you so much. Until next time, bye-bye.